Hello, Leo. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Leo is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Leo, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. An Eight of Wands. I think you're somebody with a lot of good ideas. This feels like it might be a bit of a restless energy, you know? It feels like we have this pressure building up from the inside, okay? That's kind of like we know we got to move, but which way do we go, right? So I feel that you've got a lot of good things that you could do. It kind of seems like every direction is a very good direction to go in. And, I feel like you're usually somebody that kind of sticks to one thing, and you push through it, and you have this endurance about you. But I feel like right now there's something inside of you that's shifting. There's some kind of pressure from the inside that's building up, it's pushing outward. And we're trying to understand what that means, why we feel it, and what direction it's trying to push us. All right, let's put this card into some context. Let's use our Dove and Serpent spread. We got a Ten of Pentacles. We got a Two of Cups. We've got the Devil card behind us. We've got the Eon card above us. And the Libra energy, the Adjustment card in front of us. Okay. Yeah, I can see what's going on here. It seems like you're on this path toward success. I mean, the obstacle to you just kind of, making a complete 180 in your life is because of these resources. You don't want to lose the resources that you are acquiring. You know what I mean? The path you're on is very successful. We look at the Devil energy, climbing the mountain, getting to the top of the mountain, getting to the Ten of Pentacles. So we're not going to abandon this path. But that Eight of Wands is saying that there's some pressure inside of you to do something differently. Maybe it's a push toward more creativity, or I want more Two of Cups. I want more love in my life. The obstacle here is that the path I'm on now is paying the bills. Probably pretty nicely, right? So the solution, the way forward, is this Libra energy, the adjustments, right? Just little things that we can do. We're not going to get rid of the path. We're not going to just take these away, right? Because this feels to you like this is a path you can't really abandon. We're not just going to give up on this. We're not going to throw it away, right? It's very lucrative, whether it's financially or in some other dimension of life. Here we've got the Wheel of Fortune. But the Eight of Swords. Here we have the Nine of Cups, but the Hierophant, right? So it's kind of like we feel torn in a way. We feel like we are sort of needing to conform to certain aspects of life. And it really feels as if we kind of got to play the game of life a little bit, We've got to, have the career or some way to earn money, right? We've got to put in our service to the world. We have to do what is expected of us as human beings, as people on this planet. We got to work and pay taxes and all that stuff, or we're going to school, or we're doing these other things. So we have that kind of conformed kind of life that, is expected of us. We're doing that. But now, gosh, something inside of me is pushing back. Something inside of you is expanding outward, trying to grow, trying to expand. It's like there's something inside of you that's pushing its way to the surface. Kind of like that little alien thing in the Aliens movie, the chest burster. I don't feel like that's what's going to happen to you, but it maybe feels like that. Something inside of me is just trying to burst out of me, but I don't want it to ruin the path that I'm on now because, you know, there's a lot of good here. It's a Ten of Pentacles, right? So what we want is the expansion of life here with the Wheel of Fortune card. So I like what we have here. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We'll set it down over here with Dwight K. Schrute right on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below, okay? Now, as we look around the room, we do see a lot of majors, don't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcana energies. This is something that's taking place in your life, inside of you, okay, that's pushing you in a different direction. It is a spiritual force. Sorry about my squeaky chair here. My new chair broke, and now I'm back to using the flower chair that some of you might remember from when I first started. This was in the basement of our old house. It's like a chair from the 50s or the 60s or something. It's quite squeaky, but it's not comfortable either. But it works. Anyway, the major arcana energies, okay, these are factors in your life that we can't change, right? There's certain things that we have to do. It's kind of like I have to find a way to earn money to support my life, my family, etc. This is something taking place inside of you. This is kind of like we want something is begging to be let out of us, and it's almost like we want to take a risk. You know, there's this impulse inside of us to just like leave everything behind and go on a road trip to a little small town somewhere and work at a gas station and just be anonymous, you know? But we're not going to do that. This is an internal thing. We don't have to leave our family. We don't have to leave our jobs, our relationships, none of that. This is almost saying like, what adjustments can we make in our life now to satisfy this urge? I feel like this is an urge for expansion, for something more, right? How can we honor that inner impulse, yet still maintain the sort of earthy path that we're on? How do we honor that creative surge while still maintaining this kind of human life that we live? Okay? Because the tarot's not going to tell you to like abandon your family and go be an artist somewhere, go join the circus or whatever, you know? No, we can have the life we have. We can wake up, we can have goals, we can go to work, we can pay bills, pay taxes, we can watch the sports team on the television or whatever we do. You know, we can go shopping, we can do all these kinds of things, but, you know, we can add somehow with this Libra energy, we can make adjustments so that we can add more meaning, add more connection, add more sense of community into our lives. We can add more love, right? This, I think, is really what it is. So you've got the majors, and then you've got your fire, your water, your air, and your earth cards. Okay. And this fire and earth, this is kind of, to me, this feels like it's almost like it's threatening to burst through the surface of these pentacles and ruin everything that we've done. It's like maybe there's this impulse growing in us that if we were to allow it full expression, it would shatter these pentacles. We don't want to do that. We don't want to ruin our lives, right? We're trying to take some risks and try new things and expand our life, but we don't want to ruin our life. Right, this is kind of a recipe for a tower event, okay? So playing it safe for you would be the devil energy, the goat, climbing up the mountain. That's it. That's the path. I'm going to ignore everything going on inside of me. I'm going to take care of my responsibilities and do what I need to do in life. Okay? That would be playing it safe. Playing it a little bit riskier, right, would say, okay, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to also find out what some of these impulses are. What can I do to perhaps give a little bit of expression to this? And I feel like that's the way forward with the adjustment card is balance. Balancing that need for us to be the rebel, to be the artist, to be the nonconformist, versus on the other side, right? The other side of the balance there is living the stable life and like having the steady income and like, you know, taking care of responsibilities and being an adult, you know, being a responsible person. So I think there is a way to achieve a balance there. And I think that you are, you're looking to give some kind of creative expression in your life. You're looking for more love. We have the Two of Cups under the surface here. It may feel that the work that you have now, it doesn't quite feel like it has that sense of purpose. The Two of Cups is an urge to merge. You know, this is like that real love. Like, yeah, I'm climbing the mountain. I'm doing the work here of climbing up the hill, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, like having some kind of a career trajectory or whatever it might be for you. It doesn't have to be money or career. But I'm doing that work. But where's the friggin' love, people? Where's the sense of purpose and meaning? Where's the connection? Why? Why am I doing that? You know? So it might be that we're looking for more meaning in our life. Now, we're going to perhaps keep the job we have. It's a good one, it's paying the bills, sure. Keep the house and the family and the responsibilities and it's functioning, right? We're going to keep it going. But how can we add more meaning into our lives? How can we do things that are going to give us a sense of purpose? How do we find meaning in what we're doing? Okay? It's not that we have to abandon what we're doing in order to go find meaning. Because then what's going to happen is we're going to go through this doorway. And this doorway, this Eon card, is a powerful doorway where nothing comes through with you except for you and what is essentially built into you. How like we're leaving everything behind, shutting the door. This is us kind of just one day picking up, leaving town. Going to the old dusty town somewhere and working at the gas station kind of thing, right? I've always had a fantasy of working at a gas station on the overnight shift. I don't know why. It just seems like it would be spooky and fun and kind of peaceful, you know? I don't know. But going through this doorway is kind of like saying, I'm going to just abandon everything I've done, everything I've worked for, and I'm going to go start something new. I'm going to get rid of the old universe, and I'm going to build a new one. Okay? And I don't think we necessarily have to do that, because I feel like what would happen is we'd end up right back here anyway. The devil, right? Our motivation, climbing the mountain to get to the success. And then, of course, we'd start to feel this magma under the surface, right? Creating this volcano, this tower, potential tower moment under the surface of our lives. And we still wouldn't know why. So sometimes this requires introspection. We have to know what this is before we can do anything about it. Okay? And perhaps the Eight of... Perhaps the problem has the solution built into it, because maybe it is, you know, expanding your energy out in different ways, giving other things some attention. Maybe you've been obsessed with this work, the devil energy, right? It could be obsession. It could be like we feel chained to this Ten of Pentacles. We feel chained to the mountain that we're on, the path that we're following. Okay, and the Eight of Wands might be the solution. Let's start giving other things a little bit of attention. Just a little bit. Dabble in things that excite you. Dabble in things that interest you. Instead of feeling like, I got no time, all I can do is this. Well, we need to make time. We need to make space. Okay, and that's a luxury that we don't always have. But I think if we can follow the advice of the adjustment card, we can make a little bit of time and space to give other things our attention. Maybe this impulse, like you want to write poetry. Well, you could do that on the toilet. Like it doesn't, you know what I mean? That's not going to take a big, huge resource to do. So giving a little bit of expression to some of these impulses is going to help to teach you what exactly is going on and what kind of like hardcore changes we need to make in order to achieve a better balance, kind of almost like a work-life balance in a way. Right. But it may be other things. We may do the poetry a little bit and realize that what this is a larger, stronger passion for writing, for expressing yourself, for being engaged in that kind of work. It may be very different from the work you have now. Okay? And maybe over time it will lead to a big, big shift, a huge change for you, right? Where we say, hey, you know what? I'm done with my job thing, and I'm going to go through this doorway. I'm going to get rid of the old universe, and my new universe then is going to be me being a writer, or whatever it is, right? I think the idea with the Libra energy, the adjustment card, is that it doesn't have to be an overnight change, a big shift, right? Everything changing in your life, it may take place slowly. And I think it's better that we ease into something to figure out exactly what is supposed to change before we just go doing something impulsive and completely ruining things. It could be that through the expression of this Eight of Wands, finding ways to dabble in those things that interest us or excite us, it may teach us. Sometimes these are cards of teaching, right? These two. Especially the Hierophant, teaching us what is missing, what is that love, that connection, that sense of purpose that's missing from this combination, from the work you're doing now. Okay? And so maybe this isn't leading to a complete abandoning of this path and starting of a new path. Maybe it's saying, I can find deeper meaning here in this work if I knew what I was looking for. Right? If I knew what to pay attention to. But if we don't know what this impulse, this expanding inner pressure is trying to say to us, we're not going to know how to find it, whether we look for it where we are now, or you look for it in some distant land. You know what I mean? This is an inner search, an inner exploration. You know, I just picture somebody who's like digging through the furniture, looking under the couch cushions and stuff, and you say, hey, what are you looking for? And they say, I'm not really sure. And it's absurd, right? And it's the same thing as somebody who abandons their life and moves halfway across the world to start a new life. It's like, what are you looking for? I don't know. Right? And so before we do anything that absurd or drastic, let's do the inner exploration. Let's find out what we might be missing in our lives. And the first step toward that, I think, is really listening to the impulse and say, what do I want? What would feel good to me? What interests me? What kind of gets me excited? I'm going to go do some of that. I'm going to find ways to have more of that in my life until I can get a little bit deeper gnosis, right? A little bit more self-knowledge. And the Libra energy is the way forward here. This is higher wisdom and discernment. It's literally telling you it's probably not a wise idea to just abandon your life and go move, halfway across the world on a whim. Let's find out really what's going on here, because chances are we're going to get there. We're still not going to know what we're looking for. This is our higher wisdom and discernment, our ability to, in real time, evaluate the choices that we're making, to say yes and no to things. And so if we want to explore this Eight of Wands, this excitement, this urge, this pressure from inside that's trying to get us to do something, right? Then we might have to say, okay, well, I got to stop doing a couple things over here so I can make the time and space to explore this Eight of Wands. Give yourself, a half an hour a day of so-called free time, right? Where you can just kind of, explore, experiment, and get involved in something that might excite you in order to kickstart this sort of learning process, right? So this is that card of being able to judge the weight of something, okay? And so there's a lot of things that we have to evaluate. If we're going to create time and space, we can't literally do that, right? We can't literally create time. There's 24 hours in a day. So everything that you're going to do with your day, you kind of have to put them in the scales and weigh them and say, okay, well, where am I putting my hours? Well, if I want more hours for this Eight of Wands, I have less hours for this other stuff. Maybe it's not even hours. Maybe it's minutes, right? I don't know how many minutes are in a day. I can't do math that quickly. So, we have to, it's all about apportionment. Does that make sense? All about apportionment. And to apportion our hours or minutes of our day, we have to be very discerning. Okay? Because I think a lot of us, if we look at our life, we're doing things that, you know what, if I really wanted to do these other things, I could probably get away from doing some other stuff. Like, you know, I spent a lot of time just kind of sitting there wondering what to do. Like, I can kind of tighten things up a little bit. You know, if I really wanted to do something, I'd find a way to make it happen. Something as simple as journaling or writing poetry. Like, those are things that we can pretty much do anywhere. Okay? And if we really prioritized those things, then we'd find a way, okay, to give them a little bit of time and space in order to explore that. Because again, it doesn't feel as if you really want to abandon the path you're on now, because it feels like you got goals. It feels like you probably are experiencing some success. It feels like this is a very profitable path for you. But there's something a-brewing under the surface here. And really it's, I think, a sense of a deeper meaning, of an urge to merge, wanting a connection. Maybe it literally is that we want romance in our life. Right? Maybe our relationships have just become too transactional, too professional, too cordial, too polite. And we just want like raw, like love. You know, we just want like just connection and bond with someone. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just we have this career-oriented life. I just want to have some friends. I want to have a good time. Also, not instead of. You know, it's to have this devil energy in the Ten of Pentacles and this other stuff. The other thing, the person, place, or thing, or activity, or the interest, whatever it is. Now, the path of the serpent, we see the Wheel of Fortune. This is the expansion. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. These readings are totally free. The Wheel of Fortune is that Jupiter expansion that we're sort of looking for. It's the pressure coming from inside, and it's the realizing that once we start the process, Spirit's going to kick in, and the ball's really going to start rolling in our favor, right? Once we start putting in that kind of work, with that discernment and exploring our interests and really trying to get in touch with what this inner pressure is trying to tell us, the universe will conspire to help us. And things will gain momentum. It's like, well, I'm gonna force myself to explore the poetry stuff, because that's kind of what I feel like is maybe part of what's going on here. So I'm just gonna start doing it. And once we start doing it, we find like, wow, now it's like, oh, I'm now meeting other poets, or I'm like, now I'm sharing my stuff online, and now, oh, I'm getting more and more feedback, and I'm doing it more and more, and we may notice that it's starting to take over a larger portion of our hours in our day, right? So something's going to build a momentum here. Something's going to kind of gain traction for you. This is a card of expanding your life, right? This is the pressure that you feel inside to expand your life. And this is Spirit saying, okay, well, if you know what your blockages are to that expansion, we think of somebody who's trying to expand, but they're trapped in a ball of twine. They're wrapped up in all these thoughts. They're wrapped up in these Christmas lights, you know? You're not going to be able to expand. So there's doubt. There's self-consciousness, insecurities. There is the inner critic. There is the chain of the devil keeping us on this path that is making us believe that we cannot expand or grow in any way. It's the fishbowl that's too small for the goldfish, right? It's any kind of a plant that's in a pot that's too small for it. Okay? It's not just about belief. There are literally restrictions on people and on us and on the plant. Like the small pot is literally a physical restriction that's preventing the plant from expanding, from growing, right? And that's kind of what we do as the landscapers of our life, right? That's what we have to be. We have to be the one that says, okay, this plant, I don't want it to take over the whole yard. So I've got to put it in a pot. Or I got to trim it back when it starts to grow too wildly. It'll take over the whole house, right? Nature will reclaim all of our human buildings and stuff, right? So we have to be the landscapers. We have to shape and mold what we're doing with and that's part of our higher wisdom and discernment here. It's part of our choices. This is the card of choice, right? Understanding choice from that higher place where we can see the consequences. But if we don't believe, if we're allowing the Hierophant to be the landscaper of our own mind, then we're the one in the pot that's too small for us. And we're believing that this is all there is to life and we're not able to grow. We first have to remove the restrictions from ourselves. And then we have to become the landscaper and view all of our, responsibilities, all of our tasks, all of our goals, all the hours of our day. And we have to mold and shape that landscape the way that has meaning for us. Okay. So with the Eight of Swords in the environment, I feel like there may be some interference in this process for you. And to me, it really feels like we just don't believe that we can do anything other than this. So it's kind of like a false belief that says, well, I just don't have time. I'm so caught up in work, I don't have time to write poetry. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to pray or to follow any kind of other practices. I don't have time to do a fitness routine or something like this, right? I don't have time to cook my food at home because I'm busy. I'm doing this stuff here, right? Those are all, in a way, excuses that we tell ourselves, and we all do it. We all do it. I probably do it more than anybody else because we spend a lot of time kind of fulfilling our responsibilities, and we get stuck in that habit. We sort of forge the links of our own chain to a particular, maybe it's our job. Some people are so immersed in their job where they're giving it all of their time and all of their attention, and they wonder why they kind of feel that Eight of Wands on the inside, right? It might be manifesting as a physical ailment or something too. The first thing we have to do is start believing that we can find that sense of meaning and purpose in our life, that we can, if we say, well, maybe it's poetry, just as an example. If that's what we kind of are starting to kind of feel, we have to believe that we can start doing it and explore that avenue of life. If you have an interest, like me, I want to learn how to fly a plane. I want to learn how to scuba dive. I want to learn how to ride a horse, right? Those are all things that I tell myself every day. I just can't do it. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have time. I don't have the space to do it. Like, there's no way, right? If I really want to do it, I have to start believing that I can, and I will find a way to make it happen, okay? Otherwise, I feel like the Nine of Cups is going to be forever in this position of the obstacle. It's just kind of like, I can either be successful or I can be happy. And, well, maybe I got to choose one or the other, right? I can either be fulfilled, I can either have love, I can either have meaning and purpose in my life and be happy, or I can be successful and I can really get to the top of this corporate ladder or, whatever it is. The Nine of Cups is abundance, joy, and satisfaction in every dimension of life. Physical, financial, mental, emotional, spiritual, creative. It's a 3-3-3. 3 is the card of abundance and celebration. This is on every level of being. This is true happiness. Is when all dimensions of your life feel like they're growing and they're expanding and they're feeling good. Your spiritual, creative life feels good. It doesn't mean it's perfect. No, it's a 9. It's not a 10. It's not perfect, but it feels good. It feels like things are on the right track. I'm happy with it, And on the mental, emotional, relationships, right? The way you're learning and growing. Your thoughts, the way you think about yourself and the way you think about the world, the way you perceive the world. Okay? And of course, physically, financially, which is kind of where we are with this devil energy. It feels like this is more physical, financial, and where's the spiritual, creative, or the mental, emotional stuff? Yeah. Because that has to be included in our Ten of Pentacles life. The Ten of Pentacles is usually our best life. Here we are living our best life. Well, why is there something why is there this pressure building inside of you? Well, because this best life is missing something. There's some key component that's missing from this. And of course, the Hierophant is the landscaper, the one that is kind of saying, this is going to get a couple of feet diameter, this is going to get a little tiny pot like this, and then this, of course, this thing is going to get the whole yard. This thing, it could grow like the grass. Everybody has this grass in their yard. And the grass is just allowed to grow wherever it wants. But the strawberries or the tomatoes or the chamomile, chamomile grows like a weed. You ever grow chamomile? You plant a little seed and suddenly it takes over the whole backyard. So that's something that we have to cultivate. We have to landscape it. It's kind of saying, like, I don't want that much chamomile because I wouldn't be able to consume that much chamomile. Okay? I don't drink that much tea. Today I'm actually I'm drinking my vitamin stuff, but I also have some corn silk tea that I'm drinking, which is a new one for me. I'm not sure how I like it yet. But we get to choose. We have to believe that the authority is ours to properly apportion our life. These two cards together, we're landscaping our life. We're saying, I want this much grass. I want to have a little bit of, it's kind of like saying, well, this is going to be my career, sure, but I want a little bit of poetry over here. I want a little bit of flying a plane over here. I want maybe a bigger portion of my spiritual practice over here. I want my family to maybe be the largest kind of apportionment. But we're realizing that everything has to have its place. And your backyard's only so big. We don't, our yard's not huge, right? You can only fit so much stuff in there. So you kind of have to plan it. It's like you got the 24 hours in a day, you got the quarter acre of land or something. You got to figure out how to apportion it. And that's kind of the wisdom that we have here in these cards. And I feel like that's what you're doing. And I feel like this is very good for you. But it may be a big shift. It may be that you have this one huge allotment for this career stuff or the physical, financial stuff. Maybe that's a huge circle. And maybe that circle is going to shrink a little bit, and we're going to add in a couple of little artistic things over here, maybe a couple of other little hobbies over here, something like that to kind of expand the life. And then the Wheel of Fortune is your life expanding new horizons. You're getting more experience. Your consciousness is expanding. You're trying new things. I feel like that's going to make you a happier person when you realize that I can have these core elements of my life, but I can also add on and do interesting and cool things, fun things. I can learn and grow. Every few months we should ask ourselves, what is the new thing that I want to learn now? What is the thing I want to do now that I've never done before? At least once a year even, right? Once a cycle. Let's be able to formulate, what am I going to do this year that I've never done before? Well, this is the year that I'm going to start learning how to fly a plane or something, right? Or I'm going to finally get on a horse at some point. Not so much a New Year's resolution, which is usually about, kind of stopping some bad habit or something, right? But this is we should always be striving toward growing and expanding our consciousness. Yeah, simple. Simple but very complex in practice, right? Let's look at the mystery card. Here we have maybe some fire energy. Maybe a little bit more fire. Maybe it's going to be a 6 of Wands or an Ace of Wands to kind of to manage that 8 of Wands. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's see. 3 of Wands, yeah, good. 3 of Wands is virtue. The 3 of Wands is you realizing the right thing to do here. Realizing that you have the power to do it, okay? It's kind of like we got the Ace, the 2, the 3 of Wands, right? The Ace is, I got an idea. The 2 is saying, I'm capable of doing that idea. The 3 is saying, I know I have to do the idea. And then the 4, of course, is going to be, here I am doing it, right? So I feel like we want to get to the 4. We want to get to it's something that now is in practice, something that's in motion, something that's moving forward, okay? So we have the idea. We believe we're capable of doing the thing. And then the 3 is us kind of figuring out how to do the thing, realizing that it's something that it's a kind of a core. It's a core thing that I've got to do it, right? It's virtue. It's something I know I need to do. even if it's going to be difficult. It's a huge gulf between a 3 and a 4. Knowing what to do, knowing that you can do it, knowing how to do it, is a lot different than doing it. There's a huge gulf between a 3 and a 4. Because then the 4 is saying, here I am doing it. So I feel like this is us with the self-knowledge. This is us with some of that gnosis. This is us understanding what to do. Understanding the need to do it, identifying it. Okay? And then the next step for you is going to be, let's implement something. Let's start doing it. And I think that is going to kick off a really big shift in you. A real gain of momentum. Okay. Now we're going to do an extended reading as well. We're going to do some oracle cards and an I Ching hexagram. There's a link up top. There's a link down below. New readings for Leo Tuesdays and Saturdays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you want to watch the extended readings at the website, go to doveandserpenttarot.com. You can also find me on Patreon. Subscribe to my wife's channel also. She does tea leaf readings over at Ula Tea Leaf Readings. Okay. And subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. These readings are totally free. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.